Welcome Kasturians. In this video we will discuss chapter 4 of history, that is thinkers, beliefs and buildings, and especially in this we will study about Gautam Buddha, his early life and his teachings and his followers. See, Gautam Buddha, he was the most influential teacher of his times, and the messages laid by Buddha, they spread over not only in India but across the subcontinent, that is to China, Korea and Japan. And it all happened through Sri Lanka, across the seas to Myanmar, Thailand and Indonesia. It was with the help of hagiographies, that is a biography of a saint or religious leader, that we were able to reconstruct and translate and analyze the Buddhist texts, and we were able to reconstruct the life history of Gautam Buddha. According to this, Gautam Buddha, was his original name was Siddharth, and he was the son of a chief of the Shakya clan, that is his father's name was Shuddhodhan and his mother's name was Mahamaya or Maya Devi. He was born in Lumbini, which is now in Nepal, and it was Kapilvastu. His wife's name was Yashodhara, and he was having a son, that is Rahul. He was brought in a sheltered upbringing. He was given a sheltered upbringing within the palace, and he was unaware of the realities of life, in fact the harsh realities of life. One day when he persuaded his charioteer to take him into the city, he met the realities of life. He saw an old man, he saw a sick man and a corpse, and he was very deeply anguished. And then from that particular moment he realized that the decay and destruction of human body is inevitable. So he decided to search for it, and later on when he saw a homeless mendicant who had come to terms with old age, disease and death, and ultimately found peace. So after looking at all this, he decided, that is Prince Siddharth decided that he will go and find the ultimate truth. So he left the palace and he set out in search of the truth. Why it happened? Because on the first day when he was out in the city, he saw a sick person. On the second day, like I just told, he saw an old age person, and on the third day he saw a corpse burning a dead body. Then he saw the mendicant or the monk who died ultimately in peace. So he set out to search for the truth, and soon after he left the palace and he explored various paths, and including in that was the body mortification. Means morti, that is body should not have any lust for anything. Whatever we have to satisfy, we have to feel satisfied from that. So all this several paths when he explored, it led him to a situation where he was almost near to death. But when he abandoned these extreme methods, he started meditation, and he started meditating for several days, and then finally he attained enlightenment, and then from then onwards he came to be known as Buddha or the enlightened one. So for the rest of his life, he started preaching Dhamma, that is the path of righteous living. Means how we can live in a right manner without hurting and or harming the other creations of God. The teachings of Buddha, that is Lord Buddha or Gautam Buddha, they have been found mainly in Sutta Pitaka. Some of the stories, they depict the miraculous powers of Lord Buddha, whereas maximum or most of the stories, they suggest that Buddha tried to convince people by using reason and persuasion other than displaying the supernatural powers. Various stories are related with this, like a mother, when his son died, she went to Gautam Buddha to so that he can make his son come back to life again, but Buddha denied, and he gently convinced the lady about the inevitability of death rather than bringing back life to the dead son. So this is how they have different stories which are more prevalent relating to Buddha. They are spoken and they are narrated in a language which was commonly spoken and which the ordinary people could understand. That's why when we see the Buddhist philosophy, according to this, the world is transient, that is anicca, and it is constantly changing. It is never going to be same, the world. Then it is also soulless, that is anant, and there is nothing permanent or eternal in it. Right? So after this treatment, what happened? The sorrow, yani dukh, they are intrinsic to human existence. Until the human existence is there, these sorrows or dukha, they will also be joining them. By following the path of moderation, that is from severe penance and self-indulgence, human beings can rise above these worldly troubles. And in the earliest forms of Buddhism, God existed, it was irrelevant, it is shown as irrelevant. According to Buddha, the world is not a divine origin, it was actually the creation of human beings, and this world is basically the social world. So this social world is not having any relation with the divine origin. In fact, it is a human creation, it is created by humans. So the kings and grihapatis, they were advised to be human and they should be ethical according to their work or their office which they are holding. Individual efforts were expected to transform social relations. He emphasized on individual agency and righteous action so that a person can escape from the cycle of rebirth and attain self realization or nirvana. That means extinguishing of the ego and desire. Thus, this cycle of suffering, those who are renouncing in the world, those who are getting rebirth, they are inevitable. It depends on our duties, how we are performing and what sort of duties we are performing or we are involved in. That decides the cycle of birth. So as per the last wordings of Gautam Buddha, it was be lamps unto yourselves, as all of you must work out your own liberation. Then when we see the followers of Buddha, Gautam Buddha used to teach four noble truths, Char Arya Satya, and then he said it is the lust for things which is the cause of all the sorrow and which is actually the basic or origin of sorrow. But by following the eightfold path, or by following the noble truth, we can prevent ourselves from sorrow. And for this he suggested an eightfold path which came to be known as the Ashtangika Marg. In this, right speech, right action, right belief. He told about right speech, prevention of sorrow. Then he said right vision, right determination, right livelihood, right meditation, right exercise, and right burial. These are the 8 paths which should be followed by every individual. He persuaded the people by reason and logic rather than the demonstration of supernatural powers I just told you in the beginning. So basically, when we see the works like Sutta Pitaka, they helped a lot to reconstruct the life history of Gautam Buddha. In the followers, when we see the followers, they were organized as Sangha, that is an organization of monks, and these monks later they became teachers of Dhamma, and they have to live a simple life. Only the essential requirements which are necessary for survival were to be possessed by such monks who were the preachers of Dhamma, and these items include a bowl to receive food, and once a day from the laity. They lived on alms, and they came to be known as bhikkhus. Only men were allowed to enter into sanghas, but later on women also came to be admitted, and the sanghas allowed women to be a part of them. The Mahapajapati Gautami, who was the first woman to be ordered and obtained as a bhikkhu, she was foster mother of Gautam Buddha's, and women who entered the Sangha, they became teachers of Dhamma, and they became theories or respected women who had attained liberation later on. The followers, they were belonging to different social groups, including the kings, wealthy men, grihpatis, and also the humbler folks like workers, slaves, craftspeople. And once they were made a member of Sangha, they all were regarded as equal, and they have to shed their earlier social identities for becoming bhikkhus and these bhikkhunis. Then the functioning of the Sangha, it was based on the tradition of Ganas and Sanghas, where common consensus it was arrived through discussions. There were debates on some common topics, and final decision was taken on the basis of the debates. So the consensus it was arrived at through discussion, and if the discussion failed, the decisions they were taken by a vote on that particular subject. Buddhism, it grew rapidly even after the death of Gautam Buddha. Why? Because the people who were dissatisfied, this appealed to them, so that with their existing religious practices they should continue, they should keep, and they have to see for the social changes also. So basically, main teaching was related to conduct and values. It was not based on the claims of superiority on the basis of birth. So this emphasis it placed on metta, yani ki fellow feeling, mat, and karuna, that is compassion. daya. So these two things can help us attain the eightfold path as given by Lord Buddha. Then we have those who were younger in those times and weaker than others belonging to the same class. They were ideas. They used to give ideas, and these ideas they again facilitated that the men and women they started following Buddhism and they became disciples of Buddhist teachings. That's all we have in this video. The remaining parts we will discuss in the coming videos. Thank you and have a nice day.